Secrets from a Coach. Thrive and maximise your potential in the evolving workplace. Your weekly podcast with Debbie Green of Wishfish and Laura Thompson-Staveley of Phenomenal Training. Debs.
Laura, you all right?
I'm doing well. Do you know, I'm feeling actually quite optimistic.
Are you? What makes you feel so optimistic, Laura?
Well, funny enough, there's nothing like planning for how to talk about keeping optimistic during challenge to actually cheer yourself up a little bit and remind you, well, certainly me, what does it mean to be optimistic?
Yeah.
What is it? And as part of our opportunity mindset focus that we've got for this 4-part series, not only is there thinking about how to handle yourself and set motivating goals that don't demoralize because they're never going to happen,
Yeah.
but also when you're in the midst of achieving a goal or just in your general day-to-day, how on the whole do you keep an optimistic mindset? So the dictionary definition I've read, Debs, that I like about optimism is a general sense that the best is yet to come. A pessimistic mindset is we've had the best already. It's downhill from now on. What's your take on the relevance of optimism in the world of handling change, performing at work? What's your experience?
Yeah, I think it's one of the key ingredients to keep that frame of mind going, so that, as you said, the best is yet to come. Because what it does, it opens up that opportunity mindset. It opens up that looking for different ways, maybe of getting around something. It looks at that hope comes into it. So, whereas if we're looking backwards all the time, we won't actually move forward. So it's so important that when you have that desire and the commitment and the belief to want to achieve something, having that right mindset is a game changer. Because if you are not up for it, or you feel like I can't do it, or you think like, oh, the world is against me, this is never going to work, all of that negative language doesn't help. Whereas by having that optimistic thought process, you're focusing on what would success look like. I may not get it right away, but if I keep my eye on the prize, so to speak, then I can only keep moving forward. And it's one of the biggest things in a successful coaching conversation when people do achieve is all about their mindset, their ability to sort of come back from any setbacks. They always look for the good in something, even though it might be absolutely rubbish what they're dealing with, but they may be faced with challenge. But it's their desire, their commitment, their belief when they first came into having a one-to-one coaching session or even a team coaching session as to where they wanted to improve. What does success look like for us?
Yeah, love it. Where last episode was focusing on a case study example of someone that is really wanting to be promoted, and how do you keep a motivating goal so it's relevant and it's relative and, you're likely to achieve it. I guess what's going through my mind as we were preparing for this one is, let's say you're a team and you're facing some pretty challenging KPIs, whatever those measures are, whether it's service levels, whether it's transaction values. If as a team you are facing some pretty tough commercial measures, how do you keep going and optimistic when all you're seeing is these either huge like-for-like figures you're competing against or this big kind of red on the balance sheet? And that mindset, I just think is everything. Can we do it? And I know in a moment we're going to take through some practical aspects. But for me, Des, I know we've talked about this before, but for anyone that is thinking, oh, it's a bit woo-woo, isn't it? All this kind of what your thoughts are and the impact that has, then there is a wealth of evidence from the pharmaceutical world of researching the real world power of a placebo versus a nocebo. So if you believe this pink sugar pill is going to take your headache away, miraculously it will. Equally, the nocebo is its kind of dark, evil twin. If you think the chicken looks a bit undercooked, you start to feel a bit queasy, even though factually there might not be that ingredient in on it. So how we view that bar chart of growth that we're all targeted to achieve, if we view that with a sense of, oh, blimey, there's no way we're going to do it, then guess what? It's going to be a real challenge.
Absolutely.
And you may achieve it, but that's more about luck. But it'll be an arduous journey along the way. Whereas if you look at that kind of either the valley or the hill that needs to be achieved, actually it might not be easy, that's precisely why our team is set up to be the ones that are going to do it. Let's go.
Absolutely. Let's do it. And I think what you said there, I think it does depend on if you are the not just the member of the team, because I think it's also the person that leads the team. So if somebody is leading that team that is, doom, we haven't got the budget, we haven't got this, we can't do that, because that's not going to engender that sense of creating a feeling of success. And I think that is what's really important. I think as leaders, managers, supervisors, whatever we are, if we're leading people, I believe it is my responsibility to engender that level of optimism, not that, where it's like, oh yeah, everything's going to be great. Not that. I don't mean that, where actually I'm not being realistic. It's more around, okay, I can hear that hasn't gone to plan, or I know we've still got red showing on our targets. And that's okay. Because what can we then do to make that change? So it's always looking at how can we keep moving it forward. And I think that is the responsibility of a person that is managing people, to have that opportunity mindset, having an optimistic mindset, to be able to see it from all sides, not just go with the role of go, yeah, well, them upstairs won't let us have the budget, so you know what, we just do what we can. No, that's not your responsibility as a line manager. I think it's up to you how you set your team up for success, and it's you having that optimistic mindset and asking yourself questions. Okay, it's not great, I prefer it wasn't like this, yet I know that with some maybe tweaks or more conversations or more team events, more whatever the more is, we can start making those little shifts, those little changes. And I think that's what it boils down to. That creates that collaborative, that camaraderie, that we're all in this together. We can get through it, rather than, oh, blimey, let's not bother. So I think it is the responsibility of a line manager to have that mindset.
It's just so right, and that as you said, not sort of pretending everything's all right when it's
Yeah,
not. So
when it's not,
optimism is not dreamland, where
no,
if you do need to recoup losses or make lots of inroads to making more, whatever that measure may be.
yeah,
So I was speaking to someone yesterday who was working in an agency type environment,
right,
and they had been everyone had been told everything's going brilliantly, it's all going fine, and then people got made redundant, and the
wow,
shock waves that have been sent through of, is any of this actually real?
yeah, that's it.
and then it impacts trust from that point
Yes,
on. So I think there is such I think there's so much value by really being pristine. What does it mean to be optimistic? So we're not lying to people and
no,
pretending everything's all right when it's not. We're showing the truth and the reality of what
yeah,
might be required in this role or in this
yes,
quarter.
yeah,
But we're
because yeah,
positioning it in a way of, we can do this, rather than we're all doomed and, oh,
yeah.
well.
Yeah, oh well. Yeah, exactly. And I think, when you see that ability to acknowledge that it is tough, I think also, and that because people see through it anyway, we're not stupid people, right? Yeah, as you said, if your line manager is painting it as it's all rosy and rosy, but actually next week we're all out the door, then people would have seen that anyway. So because we are super astute and we are watching, and we observe. And whilst we are a member of that team, if we haven't got a good relationship with our line manager, we can't always challenge, are you sure? Because what I'm sensing is it's not going the way. We've just lost this client, we've just lost that client. Are you sure everything's all right? To be able to challenge that woo mindset, that everything's rosy, I think is a real skill as well. But that
Mm.
comes from trust. But I think that managers that underestimate the power that their team work with and understand or see, because they're closer on the ground sometimes, never underestimate the power of what your team can advise you of, and always listen. I've seen managers bury their heads in the sand. They think they know it all. Everything's fine. They're trying to keep the troops, but actually everybody's behind the scenes going, he's having a right old laugh over here. He's like in cuckoo land, so, we're not stupid is what I would say. So, don't underestimate the power of that.
Yeah. And of course, it's a fine line because, again, a
Yes.
bit like, if there's a pilot on board a flight, the last thing you want to hear is a pilot panicking. You want to
Yes,
keep that
exactly.
calm productivity mindset, but yet that realistic bit.
Yeah.
So, in a moment, we're going to look at
Yeah.
some practical applications around what we can do around language, for example, sort of how we talk. So,
Yeah.
Debs, we've mentioned Martin Seligman before
We
and
have.
his brilliant stuff on positive psychology. So, this is more of a quick kind of recap, but whenever we cover it on sessions, it really gets people thinking about what does that mean about not only my own mindset, but the language that I am expressing as well. So should we do a quick run through as to what Martin Seligman's take is
Yes,
on
I love this.
optimism?
Yeah, go on, go, Law.
So what he says is we need to really watch out for the 3 Ps. So when the language uses language implies that whatever challenge we're dealing with is pervasive, so it's impacting everything. It's permanent, so it's always going to be bad.
Yeah.
And we're powerless.
Yeah.
We're doomed and we have got no power. And we really have to watch the 3 Ps because they can take us down to a dark place individually. And if, as someone who is talking or taking a team through change and challenge, for example, being able to avoid it sounding like it's a forever state, that everything is in trouble, that we just have to kind of grin and bear it, grit our teeth, then actually that might sound like you're rallying the troops, but it's actually quite a depressing message because that implies to everyone else that we're just all this kind of, on a sliding downhill and there's not much we can do. And the impact that can have from day to day morale is, number one, you're tapping into the nocebo effect. I think these next 3 months is going to be horrendous. So guess what it is? Because we've got all of that anxiety pumping through. And it can, if someone is there, one of the 1 billion users on LinkedIn now, Debs, then there's a lot of opportunity out there in the market globally now.
Yeah.
So if your company, your organization is sounding really downbeat and pessimistic, then all the adverts are out there talking about growth, innovation.
Yes.
It's very you've got a workforce that are maybe vulnerable for being for resigning.
Yeah.
So what Seligman says is the more that we can bring a TIE approach, TIE. So rather than permanent, it's temporary.
Yeah.
For the next 6 weeks rather than forever.
Yeah.
And that gives that sense of hope around this isn't forever. This is just going to be a period of hardcore energy for 6 weeks, but it's not forever. So it's temporary. Rather than it being pervasive, it is isolated. So in the meantime, while our sales might be down, our service scores and our NPS figures are through the roof.
Yeah.
So let's focus a little bit on that, about how we can maintain that and how we can convert that into a sales opportunity. So we leave that Monday morning catch up going, okay, cool, we've got to really focus on sales, but actually our service is really great. So rather than it being pervasive everywhere, everything's doomed, is isolated. Is this particular bit that isn't going so well? However, this is the bit that is going well. So what can we do to replicate that? And then rather than powerless, empowered. So what as a team does this mean? What's going to be your focus this week? What can I do about it? And what you're doing, I guess, is converting from victim to agent mode, aren't you? You're getting back in control, back in perspective about the challenge that you may be facing.
Yeah. And I think that TIE approach, CIE, I think is super important. And if anybody's listening to this and go, oh my God, if I just had that plastered somewhere on a post-it in front of me, then that would be your way to go, to just stop and think it's not forever. And I think the language that you were talking about there, Law, like everything is not working. This is always going to be how it is. It's never going to happen. So those big words, as I call them, which actually really everything is broken. And I know we use this in coaching and in team dynamics when we're working with them. When people use that language of everybody, everything, nothing, always, never, we always challenge that because we go, really? It's never going to happen. Is that what you're telling me? Never, ever, ever. And they go, no, I don't mean that. I don't mean that. And we go, okay, so what's a different word? What's a better word that you could use? Well, it's not happening right now. Great. So we can flip the words around, but we have to catch the words. And because they're so, I suppose they're so ingrained in our everyday language, we don't always catch them. Yeah, I know when we've done workshops, Law, when people say, I'm quite good, I always go, quite. Let's work that one out. And then he goes, oh no, I am good. Yay. And it's little things like that, is to catch the words that people use and just challenge it, because that creates that different thought process instantly, which takes people away from the more pessimistic. Oh, you see, I'm no good at anything. Then therefore I must be rubbish. No. Let's come back. So you're no good at anything at all. And they go, well, no, I am good at this or that. So what you've just said isn't true. Oh yeah, okay, I get it. And it's fascinating to watch people's brains then get around it. And every time they say the word quite, I'm quite good. Oh, no, I'm not quite. And they catch it themselves. And I think that's the beauty. And that tie is a great reminder of that, I think.
Yeah. My God, Debs, it's so brilliant to listen to you talk then, because I was thinking, I wonder to what extent is it a human tendency to overplay the enormity of external influences and underplay the impact we individually can then have. And then that's the
Absolutely.
slippery sliding slope, isn't it? Which is, there's
Absolutely.
nothing I can do, all that dramatic language, as you
Yeah.
were saying.
Yeah.
But the impact that has is it really wobbles teams.
It does. And it wobbles yourself as well, because then even though you subconsciously, that little word will be like a little worm in your brain, and it will next time, and then you'll go looking for things that aren't working, or things that, see, I knew that wasn't going to work. See, I said that. So then our brain is set us up to go and find those things, to go, okay, you've asked me to find everything you're not good at. And so it goes, I can do that, because it doesn't differentiate between the feelings at all. It just wants a command. So if you've given your brain that command of everybody is against me, guess what? It will start finding those facts, if you like, that go, yeah, brain, compute, everybody is okay. Whereas if we were to go, no, that's not true, that isn't helpful, that's not logical, then your brain will go and look for what you do want. So that turns it from that into that opportunity, or the optimistic, I should say, mindset that goes then looking for the opposite of what it is. And we can do that. It just takes us a bit longer to do it.
And in a nutshell, that's the old confirmation bias, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it is law. Yeah, completely. I completely forgot what that was. Yes, but it is.
So that's right, Debs, you're still a good person.
I'm
Keep
not just quite
optimistic.
good.
You are good. So the old confirmation bias,
Yes.
because there's 3.6 million bits of information hitting our senses every second, and
Yeah.
depending on your processing preferences, your
Yeah.
brain likes patterns. So
Yeah.
if you think if you think this month is going to be really difficult, then that will just attract more kind of difficulties. You'll spot it, whereas the things that are the bits of sunshine, you might sort of
Yeah.
discount it, because there's got to
Yeah.
be some ordering and prioritizing, otherwise there's just too much to be able to
Yeah.
think our way through.
Yeah. So I think your point about catching the language and relating it back to, the time, I think is spot on for anybody who wants to practice an optimistic mindset. It's, I think we're set up to look for risk, look for danger, look for everything. Whereas, so we have to really consciously look for the opportunity that could be there. And I know we've said this before, Law, where in any setback or in any challenge or in anything that you're being faced with at the moment, there is always an opportunity to look for what I can do differently, better, more of. But we have to really consciously look for it sometimes, because it's
Oh,
easier to go down that route of doom and gloom.
yeah, it is. And, I think we're very fortunate, or I guess it was a planned choice at some point in our past to go, actually, I really want to be in that kind of world of L&D.
Yeah.
But I think on the whole, learning and development coaching is the world of optimism, because we're all
Absolutely.
about what can we do today to maximise our success or happiness in the future. It's
Absolutely.
all that sort of future focused bit. But it's just got me thinking, and then we'll have a look at some practical things that we can
All
do
right.
day to day. I had a really funny little interaction with a good old friend of mine, Charlie. So when she's
Oh,
listening to
yes.
this will make her laugh. And weight and weight loss has been an
Right.
ongoing opportunity in my life, Debs, to deal with that. And her and I had gone out for some business brunch. This is years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie has got a fantastic fitness and an amazing physique, and she really works hard at it. Anyway, it's amazing how the attitude I had, because I thought, some people are just lucky. You know, they don't have to. They just have that.
Don't have to
And then we were
worry.
there. Yeah, we were standing there choosing our breakfast choices. And I'd, put my second slice of toast into the
Yeah,
toaster to then get that
of
ready on
course.
top of everything else.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, should I put a slice in for you, Charlie?" And she went, "Oh no, I don't eat bread." And I went, "Oh," I said, "You don't have to worry about not eating bread." And she goes, "That's why I don't have to worry about not eating bread."
Brilliant.
And Debs, it was like the world has opened up. I went, "Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Maybe actually the things that you care about, you have to put some work in. It doesn't happen naturally." And I was reflecting how the number of people over the years have said to me, "God, you've got such an optimistic mindset. Aren't you lucky?" And in my mind, I'm thinking, do you know how hard
yeah, absolutely.
you
It
have to
is.
work
Yeah,
at keeping yourself optimistic? Because it
yeah,
is so easy to get influenced by all the
absolutely.
stuff that's around. But it's a choice,
It is a
actually,
choice.
it's not about pretending everything's all right when it's
No,
not,
no.
which is why we'll talk about boundary management in a moment. But it's a conscious choice. So if you listen to this and you're thinking, actually, I do feel like on the whole, my mindset has been ground down a little bit. And the
Mm,
last 3 or 4 years have been full on for a lot of working adults and, all over the world, really. So it'd be quite understandable if we start to feel that it's chipping away, it's become patterns. So if the pattern has been, you look at an opportunity and you think there's no way we can do that. If that doesn't feel like you,
yeah,
then could it be that there's just been some patterns that have been forming because we've had to be so risk aware
yeah,
because all of the change and the challenge and the
mm,
pandemic and all that kind of stuff. So if you listen to this and thinking, do you know what? I think it's an opportunity just to refresh my mindset,
yeah,
then it really does make an impact. Your outlook, as we can see from the
yes,
pharmaceutical world, if you think something's going to be good or bad for you, your body will make it so. We've looked at the power of language, and as you were saying, being able to catch it, not only how we
mm,
identify with ourselves, but how we speak with others. So let's maybe end on some thoughts about what we can do day to day to practice this optimistic mindset, particularly during times of challenge.
yes,
So, Deb,
Les.
what are some things that you've seen can really help practice an everyday, on the whole, optimistic mindset about things?
Yeah, the ones that I really like are to have your go-to mantras. They're not just t-shirt material. Choose love. It's not just that. They can be real things for you that make a big difference. So, and they're really quick and they're really snappy and they can be just accessed quite quickly. So I always love that mantra. And to have it visible somewhere around you. So I think that's really good and repeating it often again changes your approach to things because your brain is going, okay, you're asking me to be this. I can do that. And the more I hear it, the more used to it I get. So mantras is a good one. I think also focusing on success. So even though you might have had some tough challenges and you might have gone through some tough times, you would have learned something from it. So taking a moment to focus on, yes, it was crap. What I learned from that was this, and what I managed to do out of that was this. So focusing on learning opportunities that come out of that, I think is really important. And as we said earlier, challenging your negative thoughts, don't get stuck in them because they're not necessarily true. But the one that always sticks out for me is that ability to cultivate that attitude of gratitude and just taking a moment and just being thankful for what's in your life. They would be my sort of top ones. There are many others about surrounding yourself with positive people, paying things forward, all of that lovely stuff that we can do. But that would be the one that I would probably say, just doesn't matter how hard, let stuff go sometimes. But the practice the attitude of gratitude.
Oh, I love it. I can see that on a t-shirt, Debs. Attitude of gratitude. I like rhyming things. It's easy
Quite
to
right. Yeah, you
remember.
do. It's easy to exactly. That's why it's a good to have a mantra.
Yeah, yeah. So boundaries is a huge topic, which is why we're going to focus quite a bit on it at next week's focus, which is
We
all
are.
about creating an abundant mindset, and
Hmm.
and a lot of that is to do with the sort of the boundaries that you keep. But just interesting what you were saying about who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
So to look after yourself and to protect your mindset, how are you going to put some nice white picket fence lines around? So it's not walls. So you're not saying to people, "Sorry, I find you too depressing. Can I not meet with you today?" But it's more putting some fence lines. So if you're scanning your working week, and if you are fortunate enough to have some control over who you interact with, then how do you ensure there's a bit of a balance between the people that you find pick you up amongst maybe some of the tougher conversations? If your type of role is you just have to react to whatever comes your way, what on the whole day by day or shift by shift helps protect your mindset? So if you are currently working with the general public in your role, and a lot of the general public might be bringing quite a pessimistic mindset, it's very easy to get ground down by that. So you might have to work extra hard to look after your own mindset. But you matter, you count. There's no one in the world quite like you. So if you're not going to look after yourself and keep, on the whole, an optimistic mindset about the future, then that's going to make a real impact, not only on you but on others as well.
Definitely.
So I think this also goes out for the people that care a lot for others.
Yes.
It also means you are more resilient and more resourceful to help others if you also have that opportunity, that optimistic mindset.
Absolutely.
Because it keeps you kind of energized.
Yeah. So, Laura, tell me what your, I know I mentioned about mantras, but I suppose what would be really cool is to understand, I know what mine is that keeps me going, and it does change. But what would be your one?
Well, it's channeling what you said to me. You said to us as a team a while ago, which is if you're starting to feel overwhelmed by the amount of things that you need to do, I find time and time management a real challenge. So it feels sometimes like, I'm beleaguered. There's nothing I can do. It's too much to do, not enough time. And that mantra of, I have everything I need to do what I need to do. Yeah. My gosh, that converts from panic to poise. And I find that a really resourceful way to look at what might feel like an impossible day. And rather than pessimistic, which is there's no way I'm going to do that, it flips my mindset in that moment. Nice. It may not be an easy day, but I have everything I need to do what I need to do, getting back into that optimism. So thank you for that all those years ago.
Oh, my pleasure. I love the panic to poise as well. That's so nice, isn't it? Yeah, going from there. Yeah, mine
and
is
yours?
So mine is I always sort of say to me, I can do this, and the emphasis is on the can, not just I can do this. Oh, it's like I can do this. So the little bit at the end that goes up means it's open and ready to go. Yeah, I can do this. Let's go. So that's mine.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So what would your call to action be?
So my call to action would be to take a moment and think about what is your own mantra. That would be it. What's the one that's going to remind you to keep that optimistic mindset? And when you're faced with some challenge, it's like, how do you employ your mantra that you're going to look at, make it visible, put it everywhere, and then you just repeat it. And that's your one that's going to keep moving you forward.
Beautiful. My share the secret would be individually, is there a colleague or a mate who you can get to listen to this, and then you share each other's mantra so you can keep each other buoyed along. Nice. We know increasingly a lot of teams are using these podcasts as a bit of inspiration. So what a fantastic way to set a team mantra, an individual one, plaster it on the back of house somewhere, or remind it, show it as a word cloud at your next meeting, because it lifts you. And if you're about to have a pretty full-on conversation that is around handling challenge, if you've reminded each other of actually these are our mantras, then it's certainly going to raise a bit of cheer in that moment, and then you're much more likely to have the energy to crack on with it.
Nice.
So Debs, I'm feeling right fired up for the week ahead.
Me too. Let's go.
Let's go. I can do this.
You can do this.
Next week we are going to look at how to create an abundant mindset as a team. Nice. And what does that mean? So I think that's brilliant for anyone out there who knows they've got some pretty big things that they want to achieve and tick off this year. Yeah. How do we create that mindset around opportunity and abundance?
I'm so looking forward to that, Laura. I love this series because it's right up our street and we just want to share that. So I'm looking forward to that one, Laura. But in the meantime, have a great week.
Have a gorgeous week. See you on the other side.
See you on the other side. Love you. Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at secretsfromacoach@aol.com or follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And if you're a Spotify listener, give us a rating, as it makes it easier for us to share the secret with others.